Hello and welcome to this latest episode of The-Shree-Channel. My name is Chandan Gokhale. In our continuing series about heroes amongst us, today we have the privilege of speaking to someone that, thanks to his adventures in the world of business and entrepreneurship, I think deserves a James Bond-like adventure movie dedicated to himself, because he's done, champagnes, cognacs, fancy hotels, diamond mines, and an airline to top it all. So I'm talking about none other than Mr. Rahul Puranik. Rahul, welcome to The-Shree-Channel.
Thank you so much, Chandan, for inviting me. It's an honor and a privilege. I also would like to thank The-Shree-Channel, Alka and Tanuja and the entire team to invite me here. It's been an honor and a privilege to be here. Thank you.
So Rahul, this is 2023. You've been on this adventurous journey for quite some time now.
Yeah.
So let's roll back the clock. Help us understand where this journey started and what are some of the key takeaways for our audience based on your journey so far.
Sure. Thank you, Chandan. Your introduction really emboldened me, so I'm gonna kind of spell out. And it all started in 1990 when I came here for my undergrad. So again, I'm born and brought up in Ville Parla, Mumbai. So things during that time were very different than what it is today. We didn't have internet. We didn't really have all the tools, platforms that are available today. So the journey was more of at a grassroots level when you go in and grind it. So going to the uses to get information. And I came here for my undergrad studies in 1990 in Alabama, University of Alabama, Tuscaloosa for electrical engineering. And that's how it all started. I mean, it's like coming into the Karma Bhumi, And I graduated in 94 and I got into working for an oil company in Alabama. Typical process like getting for the green card and applications, and I had a lot of passion for aviation as well. Been growing up in Ville Parla, with very close to the airport proximity and seeing the planes fly. So that kind of developed a lot of passion in aviation, but the timing wasn't where I could just go in and start flying. So after I completed my education, I started working as an engineer. I started pursuing flying. And like how the saying is that luck always favors the brave. I got an opportunity to work for a flight department in our own company. And so I was doing two jobs at the same time, working as a systems engineer and also as a pilot. So that's how it all began.
Okay.
And then once I completed my flying and I was a corporate pilot, you start interacting with the top management, the CEOs and the VPs, and the moment you start working with them, flying with them, you get a very different perspective of life. I mean, here I'm a systems engineer, I'm working together with my co-workers, amazing experience, a lot of fun. And then when you work with, or when you actually not work with, but when you fly these top executives, you see their perspective, you see their vision, you see how they approach a problem. They don't do different things, they do things differently, and I was able to learn. And that's where I really felt like I should explore out something in me that I want to pursue. So at some point in time when I felt like this job is not really giving me enough what I need to, the satisfaction part. I mean, money and the financial benefits is different. I felt like I need to explore out. So I left my job and I moved to Atlanta.
Okay.
And that was the same transition when I got married.
Okay.
And then me and Swapna moved to Atlanta and she started working in IT and I was exploring out. So with limited money and not much business experience, I really didn't have much of things on the plate. So I went to School of Horticulture in Buckhead and started winemaking. Now, how I got into that was basically when I was working with the top executives and flying them around, and I could see their taste for some high good stuff, something which is exclusive. And we would just fly in to go for a good restaurant, 200, 300 miles. I mean, the corporate pilot and funding in the company, you can do whatever you want, right?
Yes.
And I said, okay, this is something that I would like to learn. And then I went to School of Horticulture and I started the process of winemaking. So then my next step was I had some money together, accumulated, and I ended up buying a small boutique wine shop.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was my first entrepreneurship journey, and it was fun. I mean, I had a lot of challenges. I mean, coming from a working background
Yeah.
to starting your own business. I mean, now you're the CEO, the CFO, the administrator, the sweeper, the cleaner, the janitor, everything, right?
Yeah.
So it took a little while, but it was fun.
Okay.
And you know how another good saying which comes in reality is that opportunity comes from the least expected places. And the next venture I had was about 150 kilometers east of Adelaide, Australia, where
wow.
I ended up being a part owner of buying a 165-acre vineyard property. Now, how I did it, I mean, if I had to redo it again, I don't think it was possible. But when I came in to the US at the age of 18, I mean, you know, Tuscaloosa is a very small town with mostly doctors and business people. So it's a small community. So they saw me grow.
Yeah.
And when I went to them and said, okay, I have a project and I have a little money, I'll put that money for due diligence. So my money goes in first, comes out last. If the due diligence doesn't suit your investment requirements, no questions. But if it does, would you invest with me?
Yeah.
And they all felt like it was good, you know. And honestly, more than the doctors, the aunties were very keen. Like, hey, we do surgeries all day. I see blood all day. Let's look at some wines, you know.
Yeah.
And that's where things went well. And again, the right place, right time. The Australian wines were finding US as a big market.
Okay.
So back in 1999, 2000, we ventured in, and within the first 6 months, we were given an offer that we couldn't refuse.
Wow.
So I gave everybody really good returns. The deal was very simple. The top 20% goes to the investors. If there is anything left, comes to me.
Okay.
So it has always been a fair journey.
Yeah.
And once this project was completed, executed, everybody made really good money. And then I had some capital. So then I started my own entrepreneurship journey.
Okay.
So that's how it went.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And then it continued on to some more adventurous things.
Yeah, so then again, once this transaction was completed, there was a lot of experience you gain, right? I mean, you just keep learning every day. So I said, okay, if I have to be in the beverage business, I have to either be on the top of the page where you open up a super beverage outlet, or you need to be a neighborhood store where a weekend you have some guests coming unexpected and you're running out of product. So I decided, okay, let's go big. And this is something that you learn, again, coming back from your experience.
I mean, you've been with the senior VPs and how they think.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, whatever we do, we got to do it big.
Right.
So then I started going in at the ground level, buy the land, get the construction company, build a super beverage store, and run it, build business, and then exit out. And that's the model. That has been my footprint, and that's what I've been doing for the last 23 years.
Okay, so you got your foothold in construction business through the Beverage Plaza Constructions.
Yes.
Where did that lead, the construction business?
Well, once we got into the construction, I mean, one of the things I'd like to emphasize as well, the beverage plazas that we built, right? And we started selling alcohol. So people think that we are in the wine business, selling wine or beverages.
Right.
Honestly, the bulk of the money or the profits that we made was in construction.
Okay.
So like typically like how the McDonald's say like, hey, we are in real estate business, but we flip burgers. It's a very similar concept because when you're competing with the Krogers and the Publix on the commodity business of beer and wine, you really don't have margins.
Yeah.
You know, spirits does give you margins, but you have Costco's of the world and Total Wines of the world. So really the margins are tight. The big chunk of money or the profitability comes from construction of the building.
Okay.
So we said, okay, let's kind of go on different ventures in the construction side. Okay. So we started building hotels. Okay. And that was very successful, and it really gave us a good insight of how constructions work. You know, we used to build hotel, and then we used to exit out, and that's how we continued on our construction. But again, I had a lot of passion in aviation. Okay. And when we came to US and after a year or so, I got a job at Jet Airways. Okay. As a pilot, and we decided not to go back. You know, and so I always regretted, like I wanted to be a part of airline. So I said, I mean, you know, sometimes you feel like anything you touch becomes gold. Right. So I said, I'm going to start my own airline, and it was when I floated the idea. I mean, really, it was a joke for a lot of people that I talked to, you know, and I said, that's good. I like that because there's always a first time for something, right? Yes. And so I started venturing out again, and we had a sizable amount of cash. So we did more of a bootstrap kind of thing, funded it in-house and got a due diligence done. And at that time, I think we started with a brand called Sapphire Airways, which was going to fly out of Atlanta into the emerging markets on a low-cost business model. You know, and it really went well. And Boeing partnered with us in the sense there's another Maharashtrian in Boeing at that time. It was Dr. Dinesh Keskar. And he and his team supported us, and they kind of validated our business plan. And we realized that with the rising fuel prices and being a long-haul service, the fuel becomes a major component of your operating cost. So the plan wasn't viable, because when we started the project, it was around $40-45 a barrel oil, and that went to about 110. So the plan wasn't feasible. So we had the management team, we had the capital, and we didn't have an airline. So what we did was we went around the world and saw where we can go and acquire an airline which needed funding, and they had good routes. So we found that in Nepal, Kathmandu, Nepal. So we ended up buying Cosmic Air, and they had about 4 aircrafts, and really had no revenue. They were all grounded because of maintenance and lack of capital. So we went and acquired it, we revamped it, and the biggest take on that was they had a really good bilateral rights. Because typically on the airline business, bilateral rights are very important. Now these days, like, you have open rights, like you can fly as much. But during that time, it was limited seats. So like there were 6,000 seats that could fly from Nepal to India, and Indian carriers could only get 6,000. So we had a gold mine. So we really did good well. From 0 to $45 million revenue, we acquired and achieved in 1 year. Yeah, and that was really going well. So we said, okay, let's revamp and get new planes. And at that time, the 2008-2009 financial crisis happened. So we lost our financial arm big time. And we had around 800 employees at that time, working in Kathmandu, Lucknow, Varanasi, Delhi. And it was my job to see how we can keep the airline afloat. So what to do? I was going pretty much all over the world raising capital. That, hey, we have the rights, come in. But it was a global financial crisis. So we met some genius, and he said, well, the best way to raise money is going to mining, diamond mining. It's like you can make a lot of money. And what do I have to lose? I'm going to not let a single stone go unturned to see that I get the results. So I went into gold mining. I had no idea about diamonds at all, period. And I pumped in millions to see that we get multi-millions. So for about a year, we digged in, and whatever, I guess, I never went to DRC, the Democratic Congo, which is the heart of diamond mining. And we didn't get anything out of it. So we said, this is really, the time is running out. So then again, we went to another genius. We were taking every expert advice that is there to keep us afloat because we needed cash. He said, well, diamonds is really not your thing. You need to go into gold mining. So I said, okay, well, I really have a small, thin line to survive. So we went to Sierra Leone and we did, okay, I said, let's look. We have learned from this experience in Africa. So before we even invested, we went in there, I went there myself, and we took some equipment from Canada. And we said, okay, we're going to start digging gold. Now, typically in this business, if you dig 1 kilogram of sand, and if you get 2 grams of gold out of it, it's a gold mine. So I said, okay, let's do it. So we had multi-million-dollar equipment coming from Canada, and we started mining gold. And man, we hit it. Okay. So we started bringing the 1 kilogram bricks, and I was showing Swapna on the video, hey, look, we got it, we made it. And the first 5-6 bricks, we took it to Zurich, and it's very simple process, okay? You go into Zurich airport, you declare that you have gold, they process it, they give you the certification, and once they give the certification, within 24 hours, you get the money in your bank account. So it's a very streamlined process. So after us, and typically, our cost of getting a brick ready was about 35,000 USD, and we used to sell it at 44. So the margin spread was good. So I said, okay, let's start it. Let's get as many bricks as possible. After about 10-12 bricks, we wouldn't find any gold. That was probably all on the surface. So we were digging it hard. And then finally, the toughest point, it wasn't the gold. The toughest point was to go and face the music in Nepal and tell our staff that, hey, we're going to have to shut down. And the 800 employees, they just lost the job. And I lost everything that I learned in the last 10 years, and I came back.
to being a happy family member, you know. Yeah, so that's been I guess one of the toughest things, you know, to let 800 people go.
Okay.
But I enjoyed the airline part though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
So Rahul, on that note of handling that downturn, I wanted to see if you could share with our audience, you know, as an entrepreneur, you go through ups, you go through downs, and downs really help you, you know, discover some things about you. So, if you could share for our audience some key things you learned about yourself, and you know, what are some of the first pieces of advice you would give people who are hopefully going to try entrepreneurship, as how to handle downturns?
Yeah, Chandan, and that's a very interesting question. Actually, I just talked about the airline failure, right? And I don't really think it was a failure. It was a big market that really got us down. Because if you look at globally, for the last 60 years, and you take all the airlines in the world together, and if you look at their balance sheet, you'll still see it in red. So it's a tough business.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, when you talk about the airline, you're talking about if you want to be a millionaire, start with $1 billion, and then start an airline, and that's where you bring it down. So, but overall, I think the challenges that we have is, you know, you start believing in yourself and you do things without doing proper homework. Like I told you about the diamond mining and gold mining. I mean, I had nothing there. If the situation wasn't that I needed the money and there was no door open, I would have probably never gotten into that.
Right.
It was the requirement of the fund, and then when your back is against the wall, you probably take every single advice and try to explore it out to see if something would work.
Correct.
But the biggest downside was when I built hotels, and it was an exit. Like you build it, you sell it, you exit out, and you get lump sum money. I was thinking, how can I work a model where I could get a regular cash flow? Because that's something. I mean, coming from a middle class, salary-driven family, that's always what you want, right? I mean, you want every month income. It doesn't matter you have big money coming in. Like, hey, monthly expenses. And so I said, okay, well, why not just go and start running the hotels, just rather than building and selling it out? But then I learned that was really not my strength. My core competence was not running, because running and managing the hotels takes a different set of skills, which I did not have.
Yes.
And one by one, and certainly with the economy going down in 2008, it kind of triggered it, and I lost everything. So back in 2010, 2011, I mean, I had hotels that I lost. I had beverage plazas which I sold, and I used that money to the airline. So I pretty much was down to nothing, and it wasn't pretty. I can tell you that. It definitely, me and Swapna were very stressed, and Swapna supported me a lot throughout my journey. I mean, she has been the backbone. I mean, you can always see me as an entrepreneur, right? You can always see me that I'm venturing out. Just think about, I hope, or I think I know what I'm doing, but somebody there at the back end, she has no clue what I'm doing, and she's seeing that I'm taking risks of my life every single day.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yes.
It's not easy to digest, sink in that, and she supported it.
Yeah.
It was pure love and trust, right?
Right.
And you always need something like that. But during the downtime, and we went back to the drawing board and said, okay, what is it that got us back to where we were? And it was again back in construction. So again, we had lost everything. One of the things I would mention is we lost everything what we had. Nobody else lost on our watch, like the banks or the investors. I mean, they were all paid for. And so we went back to the bank and said, hey, this is the situation, and we would like to go back to the basics. And you know, there's always some support that you get. It's about knocking the right door. You know, you shouldn't feel pessimist that, okay, nobody's going to help me. It doesn't work that way. I mean, community, for example, I mean, they've supported all along, you know, and they've always been my strength. So what I would like to say is, I mean, we went back on the drawing board, got started again on the construction, and then I said, okay, I'm going to focus on things that I know the best, or at least that's what I think.
Okay.
So that's when we started with the distillery in France. And since we had the bandwidth as a team to work on bigger projects, I mean, I wasn't happy at the end of the day just going back into construction and building a beverage plaza.
Okay.
So that's how the distillery started, and it's the 11th year, and we're still growing. I mean, we started with the first product in 2012, and now we have 8 products in 2023.
Wow.
We were in 1 market in 2012, and now we are in 7 countries and 13 markets in the US.
Yeah.
So it's been a journey.
Puranik brand is getting bigger.
It's getting bigger. Certainly, we still long ways to go. It's still a tip of iceberg, but it's working along well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Rahul, now, in all these years that I have known you, in addition to your entrepreneurial adventures, what I have noticed is your keen desire to give back to community, actively do as much as you can, to share your knowledge, coach people. So, curious to understand, is that by design or is there anything going on there?
See, there are two aspects of it, Chandan. Honestly, the community has given me so much.
Mm-hmm.
So whether I like it or not, I think it's my moral, ethical responsibility to give it back.
Mm-hmm.
At least what I've received. And this is back in 2013. I remember when Alka was the president, and we had a casual chat. And she said, "Rahul, I mean, it's not about you, but more about sharing your experiences because you do a lot of different things." And it just struck me that time, and I started looking at mentoring kids. It's fun, it's just it's an experience. And for last 10 years I have over 150 students and it starts from like 9th 10th grade, and it just in the career path. I mean, I have students who have graduated, they've taken multiple jobs, and now they're at a phase in their career where the money is probably not at the top priority, and more about, hey, what should I learn? How should I learn? If I have 2 offers, what should I take? What do you think, Rahul uncle? And again, nobody has a crystal ball, but I just share experience of what I would do.
Right.
What's your long-term goal? And it's fun, and it's a journey. I think I really look forward to that Saturday, Sunday sessions of getting students in and learning from them. It's a great journey.
Very nice.
Yeah. And Chandan, I mean, talking about giving it back to the community, I mean, what you're doing with Gigaplex Academy, right? And I've mentioned this to you during your talks as well, that if I had access to your academy or something similar 20 years back, things could have been very different. Because what you actually showed me after 23 years when I joined your academy is the core strengths that I had, I never knew. It was more on the street level that I learned, and you gave me a structured program where I could focus on my core. So I'd like to really see that your Gigaplex benefit a lot more students at a much bigger scale than what it is today, because this is a game changer. I mean, this is definitely a game changer for me, and I think for the students who are starting it much younger, I think it's really going to be a blessing for them, because they could focus on what they really want to do. And certainly with your full end-to-end academy services, they can see how to handle the failures. They can see the challenges. So I really feel what you're doing is simply amazing. I mean, you're changing people's lives.
I hope so.
Yeah,
Thank you.
wonderful.
Thank you for that.
Appreciate it. Yeah, and for those who are not aware of Gigaplex Academy, Chandan Gokhale started this. He's a founder. And the Gigaplex Academy is giving students a platform to identifying themselves, who they are, what their core competences, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. And I've never experienced something similar in the 23 years of entrepreneurship journey, nor I have experienced in any college education. So I think, Chandan, I mean, this is the academy that I think every aspiring student who wants to really explore himself out, what he's made of. I mean, everybody likes math, physics, science, and that's pretty much inherited from the families. But where do you really stand? Where is your happiness? I mean, one of the things that I always ask is, are you willing to do this work if you don't get paid? And 99 of kids say no. Then that's not what you want to do. You always look at your salary. I mean, I would like to go in and work in the distillery and come up with recipes to make cocktails, even if I don't get paid. I mean, 11 years I'm in this business and we're still in the red, but it doesn't stop me. Right. And I think Gigaplex definitely would give you that platform to know what your core is. And I think, Chandan, you're doing a fantastic job again. Thank you. Thank you for starting this for our community.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, The-Shree-Channel, for having me here. Alka, Tanuja, and the whole team. It's been a great experience. It's one of the first times being in front of the camera. So thank you so much. It's been a great journey, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul. Actually, fascinating story. Couldn't have found a better person for motivating our audience with this kind of entrepreneurial journey that you've gone through. So thank you again. Thank you, Shree-Channel, and I definitely want to thank our sponsor for this venue, Ravi Bhave. We are fortunate to have someone like him supporting our community. And then finally, Shree-Channel, amazing work. You're coming up with great videos. I would strongly recommend everyone in the audience to subscribe so you can keep getting these new videos that they look forward to launching every month. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandan. Thank you, Chandan, for inviting me. I really enjoyed it, and I really hope that the Shree-Channel continues in, and your Gigaplex Academy really make changes in people's lives. Thank you.
The chairman of Savni Group of Companies has established an extensive network of companies across the multiple countries, including Atlanta, France, Ireland, Singapore. With his visionary leadership, he has successfully expanded his business operations and created countless job opportunities for individuals across the globe. Today, we feel proud to felicitate Mr. Rahul Puranik with the prestigious Bharat Gaurav Award.
Forsyth County approved plans for much debated Sri Krishna Vrindavan temple on 7 acres of land near Peachtree Parkway. Seva International and the youth leadership under guidance of Mr. Shankar Mahadevan organized a 5K run for raising funds for temple construction. The youth group did all the work from booking venue to advertising event to helping in registration and to conduct warm-ups and serve breakfast at the end of the event. There were more than 250 participants for this run and walk. Around $21,000 were raised by this event for temple construction. Amid all programs happening in Atlanta, I Am Buddha Production Company did a pre-release premiere of the movie called The Vaccine War. The movie is to be released in September all over the world and is based on a true story of scientists who developed Covaxin during COVID in India. The movie notes the personal struggles, sacrifices of the scientists, as well as the media and international pressure on India. The movie garnered fantastic reviews from the audience. Definitely a must-see. Producer Pallavi Joshi and director Vivek Agnihotri came to Atlanta for this premiere. They answered questions at the end of the event. I Am Buddha team also presented awards to Seva International team and Dr. Swati and Dr. Abhishek Gaur for their work during COVID crisis in US. Congressman Mr. Rick Cormick and his wife attended the premiere and the after party. They were extremely complimentary about the movie and about India and its progress in all fields.
But I used to work in Bollywood earlier, and I realized that our films are not being used as soft power to showcase the potential and the greatness of India to the world. So we decided that I Am Buddha to make those kind of films, and this is part of that. I'm just trying to take Indian stories on world stage and people to know what we are made of. This is my inspiration, and especially I've seen people around me how hard we work. Our struggle, our sacrifice itself should be an example for the world to follow. But we are very often embarrassed and we are ridiculed for our sacrifice and struggle. And I think sacrifice is the greatest quality and the world should know about it. That's why this film came.
Now, coming to Atlanta, Palle Sandadi, September 1st to 3rd, organized by Greater Atlanta Telugu Association. Atlanta Telugu Idol Competition, September 4th, organized by Atlanta Telugu Federation. A Perfect Murder, September 10th, presented by the Parashare Entertainment. Vibha Dream Mile Walk and Run, September 17th. Hindu Vivaha in-person meet, September 16th, organized by Hindu Vivaha. Zubeen Nautiyal Concert, September 24th, presented by Platinum Events. The Mystery Element, English Drama, October 14th, presented by Fractal Productions. Annual Pageant, organized by Dream Girl Entertainment. Save the date for December 2nd.